hope you're doing well. I'm really excited to make this video. I've actually been wanting to make a video like this for quite some time, but been really busy. Not too long ago, I finished my second year of medical school and my step one. If you watched my last video, you kind of heard me talk a bit about that. And since then, I finished my pediatrics rotation, which was 8 weeks. I took my shelf last Friday. So yeah, that's where we are now. I have my 2 week elective now, but I chose to kind of take it off just because I studied for STEP really long, and I'll kind of talk about that a little bit later in the video. But so I took my elective off, and then I decided to come home and see my family in North Carolina. That's where I'm at right now. I'm actually going to be doing quite a bit of traveling in these next couple of weeks. Well, maybe not quite a bit for some people, but for me, since all I've been doing for the past kind of 4 years is just sitting down studying, I'm excited. um, so yeah, right now I'm in North Carolina. Next, I'm gonna be going to Pittsburgh to see my boyfriend. Um, he's doing research there, and then after that, I'm gonna be going to Ohio for my next rotation in family medicine, which will be like about a month. I'll be there for about a month. But anyway, that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is to kind of just share my medical school journey, all the things that have happened to me, or what happened to me while I was trying to get into med school, and then what's happened to me since I've been in med school. And I'm gonna try to be kind of vulnerable in this video, just because I feel like, a lot of times, especially on social media, we make it seem like our lives are amazing and glamorized. But for me, just personally, my medical school journey has been like an emotional roller coaster of up and down, and just like it's been a lot. So I figured if I could share it, just kind of what happened, it could maybe encourage someone out there. Especially like if you're in med school, if you're trying to get into med school and it's not kind of working out, just know that like you're not the only one. So yeah, let's get started. So basically, I went to undergrad at an Adventist HBCU, Oakwood University. I love that school. It's absolutely amazing. I had a really great time there, made lots of friends. And then when it came time for me to kind of, you know, start applying to medical school and doing all of those great things, one of the parts of applying to medical school is that you have to get letters of recommendation. So normally those letters of recommendation come from, teachers, people that you've worked with, different things like that, which was no problem for me, or so I thought, because while I was there, I was very active in my department. I don't know if I said this already, but I was a biomedical science major. Um, and I was very active. I did lab instructing, teaching assistant, I did research, and not just bio things. I'll make another video at another time kind of saying like some of the things that I kind of did to kind of boost my application to help me get into med school. But just for the sake of time for this video, I'm not going to quite go into all of those. But yeah, those are some of the things that I did. So when it was time for me to ask for letters of recommendation, I didn't think it was going to be a problem because, I was very involved in my department. Specifically with one teacher that I had been a TA for her, lab assistant for her for many years, so she knew me very well. She was kind of, or so I thought, like my college mom a little bit because, you know, I had been working with her for so long. I'd been to her house, all these different things. So when I asked her for my letter of recommendation, she basically, for a lack of better word, told me no. Um, she was very kind of dismissive to me. She basically said that, you can't be a wife and a doctor, and that the only reason I was trying to go to medical school was because I wanted to follow my boyfriend. Um, and that was very hurtful for me. I love my boyfriend. I love him to pieces, but if you know me, you know that I wanted to go to medical school before I even before my boyfriend and I even started talking. Like that's always been my dream. I went to college wanting to go to medical school. and I met my boyfriend in college. We didn't start dating until junior year. So for her to kind of say that, and you can't be a wife and a doctor, like, what kind of sexist 19th century stuff is that? There are so many women that are like killing it in whatever field of medicine they're in, and they have amazing families and they're amazing wives. So that kind of really turned me off from her, and it just kind of made our dynamic of our relationship kind of awkward after that. Another teacher that I asked, when I asked them, he asked me my MCAT score, and when I told him, he basically told me that I would never get into med school. No med school would ever accept me with that, and then I should consider getting my PhD instead of going to med school. So again, kind of a big turn off because I did so many things with him, so much work with him. Like, it was just a really bad experience overall. So what ended up happening was I ended up talking to two completely different teachers in my department, and they were more than happy to give me my letters of recommendation. So I got those, and fast forward a couple of months, it was December, it was around Christmas time, I was again home for winter break, and I remember my boyfriend calling me, telling me that, he got early acceptance. We applied to all the same medical schools, but we really, really want to go to one. Like, we had our number one choice. And he called me and told me that he got early acceptance. And of course, I was really, really happy for him because that's amazing. But I was kind of stressed too because I was like, I kind of need to get into med school. And then I remember I had another friend. The three of us all applied to this med school, and he called me and I ignored his call because I'm like, I'm pretty sure he's calling me to tell me that he got in, and I just can't deal with that right now. So I was just kind of freaking out in my room, and then I saw like the 909 area code for California. That's where I go to med school now. And I answered, and they told me that I got in, and I started crying, and it was just an amazing time. Called both of my boyfriend and my friend back, let them know I got in. We were all super happy. We were on cloud nine. So we finished out senior year at Oakwood. Fast forward a couple of months, now we're in medical school, our first year of medical school. And let me tell you, my first year of medical school had to be one of the worst years of my entire life. It was so terrible. Literally, it was terrible. I felt like I was kind of drowning a lot of the time. It was just, I don't even know how to describe it, you guys. It was just really bad. I failed like it was nobody's business. I failed so many exams. I ended up kind of going through the year, and my school has this program called academic deceleration, where you kind of know that your classes aren't going well, so you decided to like drop some classes and kind of focus on the classes that you're passing, and redo the year. I decided not to do that. For me at the time, I was basically kind of struggling in all of my classes, but I thought that, I could recover and kind of figure it out. So I remember, like, for example, in my biochemistry class, I went through half of the year barely passing or failing all of the exams. And then in January, I met with the teacher, and he told me for me to pass, I could only miss 5 questions for the rest of the school year. Which, in hindsight, for some people that may not be that big of a deal, but if you went from getting like 65s, 50s all the time, that's like a big feat. But I was determined, and I ended up doing that. I ended up missing, I think, 4 questions. So it was basically just a very trying time for me. One of my classes, cell structure and function, I knew that there was no way I could pass it. So I just decided to kind of like not focus on that class and focus on my other classes. There was this other class we had called physical diagnosis. That and cell structure and function were really hard for me. So I decided to focus on those, or to focus on PDX. So I put all my time and effort into my classes plus PDX with the hopes that I'd be able to repeat cell structure and function in the summer. Now, it kind of varies by school, and one word of advice that I would give is to make sure that you kind of check to see what your school's academic policies are, like in depthly, that you know them, because a lot of things I didn't find out till after the fact. So basically, I knew I had to repeat cell structure and function, and I was working not to have to repeat PDX. So I went through all my exams, I went through all my finals, the end scores came out, and I don't quite remember my exact scores, but let's just say a passing score in PDX was a 68, and I got like maybe a 67.1. So yeah, I was heartbroken because, as I said, you can only repeat one class. Um, and with me getting that 67.1, that means I would have failed two classes. So I, have been in contact with my teachers all throughout this time, and I emailed them and kind of was trying to see if anything could be done, and they told me no. So basically, I would have to repeat my first year of medical school. Now, that whole time, as I said, was the worst year, probably one of the worst years in my life. But it was very trying for a lot of reasons. For one, because I had to repeat, I lost my financial aid. So I had to figure out how I was going to pay for a year of medical school. Um, and if you know med school is expensive. So that was one thing. For two, I felt like I had just failed overall. Those thoughts of that teacher that told me I would never get in came back in my head. Um, I just was like, he was right. I never should have come here. This is terrible. For two or for three, sorry, I was going through a lot of like anxiety and depression then, and that just made everything worse. I remember like I would just come home and shut myself off in my room. I would just go to sleep and not study. It was just a really hard time. I remember calling my parents and kind of telling them that I was coming home because I wasn't going to go through another year. I couldn't do this. And I was crying to my mom, and then she put my dad on the phone. And I was telling him, like, I'm coming home. I can't do this. And he was like, oh, you're coming home. Where are you going to stay? And that kind of made me cry more. And they basically just encouraged me and told me, like, you're going to go back to med school. You're going to do the year over. You're going to pass. Everything's going to work out. And so that's what I did. And my repeat year was better academically, but it was challenging in other ways. For one, kind of just dealing with all of those like feelings of like failure. Um, that played a big part of repeating first year. And then two, just dealing with other medical students. Like, medical students are, they can be very morbid, and I'm guilty of this too, making jokes about failure, making jokes about like I can't repeat because it'll absolutely be the worst thing ever in life, which is all good and dandy until you're in the presence of someone that is repeating, someone that has failed. And we don't, it's kind of a med school like culture. I feel like we don't really kind of think, or like we kind of suffer in silence. So, like, saying jokes like that was kind of really hurtful, especially when, you're sitting by someone that had to repeat. I didn't tell a lot of my family, only my immediate family knew. I didn't tell them that, by the way, not graduating in 2020, joining the class of 2021, because it was just a lot for me to deal with. So fast forward, made it through my repeat first year, entered into second year. I was really excited to enter to second year, because it was just something new, but kind of looming over my head was kind of the fact that, a policy that my school has is that you have to finish the first 3 years in you have to finish the first 2 years in 3 years, meaning I already repeated once, so I couldn't repeat again, or I would have to leave medical school. And I didn't let that kind of like like kind of cloud me or bog me down, but it was something that I was thinking about, like I really needed to pass the first time and not have to repeat anything. Um, and if you kind of know some stuff about med school, they say that second year of med school is one of the hardest years. of medical school. So went through that, studying like 15 hours a day, 16 hours a day at a time. It really takes a toll on you. You miss family events, you miss social events. You don't even take a break for yourself most days because you're just so determined, because you want more than anything else in the world to pass. And I did. I passed all my classes the first time around, which was a testimony because it was a lot. And I entered into my kind of dedicated step one period, which was also a lot. Sorry, my mom is like washing dishes in the background if that's the noise you're hearing, but which was also a lot. During that time, I had a great support system. Again, boyfriend. Um, he was just my person. Like, he was busy. So we came into med school together, but because I had to repeat, he was a year above me. Not that he took a year off to do research, we're in the same class, but he was absolutely amazing, kind of helping me, like taking time out of his schedule to go through ambient meets with me and my friend Kim. Kim was my kind of step one study partner. We would study like every day together, encourage each other, hold each other accountable. My roomie, we didn't really study together, but we would kind of like talk to each other, update each other on what was going on in our lives and all of these different things. And then lastly, my friend Timmy. So she was in pharmacy school, and ever since I've been in medical school, I can't tell you how many times I've like complained to her about how I'm gonna drop out and become a stripper or do something absolutely crazy, and she's like, no, you're gonna finish medical school, I'm gonna call you doctor, we're gonna call each other doctors. And yeah, so that was kind of my support system. um so yeah, I think that said a lot. This video is really long. I didn't mean for it to be this long, but I hope that like kind of some of the things that we talked about um have been some kind of like an encouragement for you guys. Because now I'm in my third year. Like I said, I just finished my peds rotation. I'm highly considering going into peds. I passed step one, so that was a big thing because that whole period was a lot. So um, if I could kind of say my med school journey has been anything, it's been like a lot of kind of negativity and failure, but I'm still here. I'm still in med school. I may not be the best medical student, but I'm here. And one day I'm going to be somebody's doctor. And, you know, there's a plan for everybody's life. Your journey may not look like the person beside you's journey, but it's okay because there's a plan for your life. And at the end of the day, you'll make it. So yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe and have a good day, you guys. More videos to come. Bye.